Kathy Lagadoo sometimes goes on hiatus by traveling. She hopes to travel with many of you. Today, she's happy to return and fulfill the role as Master Evaluator. Please help me welcome Toastmaster Kathy Lagadoo.
Well, now for our next portion. It's great to be back from a hiatus. Now you've heard from wonderful speakers, and one of the goal of Toastmasters to help you improve. You also get evaluated. And so I will introduce our first evaluator for speech number 1, which is Toastmaster Sean Tucker.
Well, thank you. First, let me start off with the fact that Toastmaster Benjamin Urrutia has started out correctly because he came up to me as soon as he got here this morning. This fell when I was back there trying to film, and my evaluation is now gone, so I'm going to just do it by heart. Benjamin came up to me before the meeting started, handed me a copy of the printed evaluation form that he got from Pathways. This is a critical step if you want to improve as a speaker. As much as I complain about Pathways, a lot of good information in there on how to build your skill set and become a better speaker. So if you follow the Pathways and you use the tools available to you, use the resources, it will help you improve. So he prints it up, he gives me a copy of it, we talk about his speech for a couple minutes, he tells me what he's really looking for is he wants to know that the audience is engaged. They're in the speech with him. I looked around during the speech several times. You were there with him. You all thought it was an interesting speech. It was good. Fantastic job on the audience engagement. You did a great job. For the technical parts of your speech, I think you did fantastic. This is not a reflection on you. I honestly have hearing loss in my left ear, so when you speak a lot of times, your accent kind of gets lost in the audible digestion system of my ears. I don't hear everything that you say. Today, I caught everything. It was very clear. I don't know if you took time to practice your pace and your enunciation, but it was beautiful. I understood every word clearly. I think your hand gestures were appropriate. They were well done. Everything was fantastic. Your eye contact with the crowd was beautiful. My only area that I would say, hey, you could use a little work on this. Practice a smidgen more so you don't rely on the notes. When you look down at your notes, it's a whole body movement. And it kind of slows the pace and the what you've got going on, the connection with the crowd. Work on that a little bit. Other than that, that was a phenomenal speech. I loved every bit of it. Thank you very much.
Now, one of my functions as Master Evaluator is to confirm roles. And this spot today, Evaluator number 2, I had reached on 4 people. And so we're glad that we do have an evaluator for the second speech, which is Toastmaster Brandon Moore.
Thank you, Toastmasters. It is an honor to evaluate Distinguished Toastmaster Carmelo, especially on the fly, put together a speech. That's a skill that I'm definitely, as you can see, working on. And just to jump in like that, in his speech entitled, "I'm Not Ready," and yet be so casual. How do you do that? It's like Michael Jordan stepping up. There's 1 second left on the clock. He's looking around. He's like, "You want me to take the shot? Okay, I'll take the shot." And he makes it. Because he's decided to be great before he got there. He surrounded himself with great people, and he had that confidence. Now, he might have kicked it off to Kukoc, but he knew Kukoc was going to make it. You know, I mean, he just knew that was going to happen. And I feel like that's something that you bring to the table when you step up here. We know we're going to get Carmelo. We know we have a certain type of brand that you're stepping up with and using the lectern very, very well. Sometimes it looks like you're going to run out in front, and I kind of like that, but I don't know if it's a good thing from a speaking point of view, because I feel like you're going to run out, so you're kind of keeping me captivated. I like that. Even when terrified, you said, and it is terrifying, Ralph Smedley once said, "The unprepared speaker has the right to be afraid." Carmelo did not disparage anyone in his speech. He said, hey, you can let yourself off the hook. It's scary up here, and you're going to have to go through a lot of mumbling and flopping and getting dinged, but you're going to push through it. And he always brings that confidence to people. There's no safer place to flop. He made a polite request to us. He maintained our interest with his conversational approach, which I find very challenging. I always like to have everything. If you think you got to have everything worked out, he's basically saying just jump up there and do it. You'll work it out when you get here. He made some great examples of Lonnie. If you can't take the heat, eat something else. Or what I heard was decide to be great. Just decide to be great. Thank you, Carmelo.
Thank you so much. And now, evaluating speaker number 3, Toastmaster Robert Leedy.
Winter Park Toastmasters, guests, and especially Toastmaster Mark Shear. I've been looking forward to this. Mark, you have easily the best speaking voice of anybody in the club. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that. They probably have. You could do voiceovers. You could. There's a class at Valencia you should take on voiceovers. You would do excellent. And your voice lends authority to your speech. This was an inspiring speech. Just hearing your voice makes me want to do it because you have a voice that really lends authority. The mechanics of your speech were excellent. You painted a picture as you started, very descriptive language. We didn't know where you were, but your language sort of put us there. Finally, you let us in. Oh, you're a triathlete. Excellent opening story. And then you give us 3 reasons to raise the bar. I thought your reasons were very good. You gave examples from your marriage. I didn't hear any examples from business, which you mentioned. One thing for a suggestion. I would suggest you came back to your story about being a triathlete at the end. I want to hear more personal details. To hear about, we've heard about Michael Jordan several times. I don't need to know about Michael Jordan. I can't quite relate to him. He is so successful. He's so far beyond me that to hear a story about Michael Jordan, I think, I'm not even, bring the examples to our level. I kind of glaze over when I hear people talk about Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. I'm like, I can't relate to these guys. We want to hear about you. I know you're successful. I know you have a positive attitude. It's not because of Michael Jordan. It's because of you. It's because of what you've done. That's inspiring. So when you're giving an inspiring speech, we want to hear your story. All in all, excellent speech. Loved it. And I'm glad I could evaluate you today.
And now to evaluate speaker number 4 is Distinguished Toastmaster Jordan Kamaker.
What an absolutely delightful speech. Some of us lived before the Peloponnesian War. That would be me. I'm so old, when I was your age, the Dead Sea was just 6. So this actually was a delightful speech for me, and it was sort of a callback. Great use of the introduction. Lydia gave us everything we needed to know to set up the speech. In fact, it was sort of a 5th speech, wasn't it? She went on and on and on. I love the humor. It wasn't written about drugs, but then again, it was written in the 70s. I like that, of course. I remember the 70s, kind of. So I did like the fact that Tim wove into this a bit of body language. He started to sway. It was maybe into the 5th minute, but there was some swaying going on, and I like that. The reference to Steely Dan, I like that because I actually went to a Steely Dan ticket. I had to Steely the tickets, but it was great. One of the things you note in a seasoned Toastmaster, the timing, the mastery of the technology, the music, the speaking, it was seamless. He had to have practiced that a lot. Couple of suggestions. Always be aware. Always be aware of what's going on in the room and try to weave it into what you're doing. So, number one, when the Toastmaster says, just before Mark speaks, and now we're in for a real treat, and then she doesn't say it when Tim goes to speak, you would have said, what am I, chopped liver? No treat? I was like, oh, we get one treat, then 4 duds. 3 minutes. I liked the explanations. They were wonderful. This was a great speech for using props. We could have held up a bottle of wine. Ooh, there is wine in here. We could have held up a bottle of wine or a wig or a mirror or something. And your voice, we got to hear all the emotion in the music, but give us some of your voice. I thought that would have been great too. Remember, when you get here, you are a symphony. You've got voice, you've got facial expressions, you've got body language. Weave all of it into your speech and tell the audience, this is how I want you to evaluate me. This is what I want you to look for. Madam Master Evaluator.